love, in its essence, is a unifying force, and fear, at its essence, is a separating force. Because we know that the body is animated only by two primary forces. One is the force of love, which is a force that brings a person closer. It's a force of connection. It's a force of a person realizing something real, something true, because at the essence we're all one, and that's the root of our love. The reason we love everything that we do is because we're the same being, and it's natural for a being to love itself. So the deeper a person's recognition of self goes, the more love he has for the things around him, for the people around him. So a person who identifies simply as himself, his ego is in charge of him, and he doesn't recognize that he's part of a bigger whole, his love is going to be basically primarily directed towards himself. As he notices that he's part of a family, if he becomes more conscious, then his love is going to start spreading to his family, and then to his community, to his city, to his state, to his nation, to whatever he identifies as self, his love is going to flow to that place and try to protect that self. And as a result of love, there's an emotion called fear. Fear is there to protect love. So as a result of a person loving something or wanting something or finding comfort in a certain thing, he's going to fear everything that's going to destroy that thing or going to cause damage to that thing. And that's the root of fear. So fear is there to protect love. Concept of having Klal Yisrael, of having this nation, is to create a unifying force, to create one people. One people who recognize the unity of creation and the Creator. And therefore, the primary motivation of a Yid is love. Now, because we're in Golus, because love doesn't have a proper manifestation in this reality, and that's why we don't have much love going on in the world right now. So even a person who has access to love might not know how to use it properly. He might not have the recipients for his love the way that naturally he would need. And that can cause a lot of complication. That can cause a lot of problems when he tries to manifest that love. But essentially, every thought that we have, every movement that takes place within a human being is motivated by these primary forces. And it's a good idea for a person to start getting to know himself, that he should be able to identify his thoughts and see what's motivating that thought, what's motivating that emotion. Is it the love, primarily love pushing him to that thought, causing him to manifest that thought, or is it primarily fear? And to do this, he simply has to take off the levushim from the thought. And the levushim are the words that it's going to manifest in. So for example, a person, he's afraid of something, right? He has a tremendous fear. Now, if he's willing to face his fears, the fears are going to come to him openly. They're going to tell him, I'm afraid of X, I'm afraid of Y, I'm afraid of dying, for example. A person has a strong fear of dying, he's afraid of dying. If he starts suppressing that fear, he says, no, I'm not afraid of dying, why would I be afraid of dying? So then the fear will come back to him in a different levush, with different words. Now suddenly he's going to say, I'm afraid of getting sick. Now, it's the same fear that's still in him. It's not a new fear. But because he suppressed the fear in the first levush, in the way that it presented itself to him the first time, it's going to come to him again in a different levush. It's going to dress up differently and going to try to infiltrate. And this is how many times people dress their midas rois, sometimes in religious garments, like we saw many times throughout history, that religion can become the face of untold evil. And that's because those people's base representation, those people's base feelings were rotten, were rotten to the core. They didn't fully have an understanding of who they are, and therefore they didn't arrive to the love of the unity that can be present when a person is spiritually developed. And therefore, as people hungry for power, tried to get more involved in religion, their evil inclinations were dressed up in the words of religion. So now instead of doing evil against God, they're doing evil for God, but it's the same evil. So and that's the type of levush that we're talking about, that a person in and of himself, he can't identify what's happening inside of him because his thoughts are dressing themselves up for him and he doesn't really know what's happening inside. And a person's expected, in order to find peace, to be able to take off all the levushim, that inside of himself he should know exactly what's happening to him. Even though in the place that he is or between the people that he is, he might not be able to be fully himself, but between him and himself he needs to be fully himself so that he knows who he is.